in this world we live in with all the notifications, the feeds, this constant pressure to perform, to get validation publicly, the original essay we're looking at today suggests something pretty radical.
It really does.
That deep urge we have to always look outside ourselves for approval. The essay argues that the most, radical thing you can do is just stop, turn inward.
Yeah.
Build something real inside.
Yeah, and it might sound a bit spiritual, but it's actually framed as a really practical path to, effectiveness, both personally and professionally.
Okay.
This turning inward, focusing intentionally inside, that's described as the source of what the essay calls quiet strength.
Quiet strength. I like that.
Yeah. And the story about Sarah at the beginning, it really captures that tension perfectly. She finds out a coworker got the promotion she wanted, and that immediate feeling, that magnetic pull, is to react.
Oh, absolutely. To fire off that passive-aggressive text or post something subtle online, get that little hit of external relief by, I guess, tearing down the outcome.
Exactly. But she pauses, puts the phone down. And that pause changes everything, doesn't it? It lets her look inward.
Right.
She thinks about the work she put in, the stuff nobody saw, the extra hours, not for show, but genuinely to get better at her job. She remembers helping that same coworker, actually, with a tough project.
And not for points, just because it felt like the right thing. No audience.
Precisely. No audience. And reflecting on that brings her peace. Not like a shallow, avoiding conflict peace, but a deeper confidence. It comes from knowing who you are, what you actually value, the effort you put in, even when no one's clapping.
So that internal knowing becomes the foundation. It's a confidence that can't really be shaken by external stuff, like missing out on a promotion.
That's the idea. It's unshakable because it's yours.
Okay, so let's dig into that, this internal foundation. The essay uses this great analogy, the foundation nobody sees, like a master craftsman, a chef maybe, or a coder, an athlete. When they do something complex, it looks so easy, effortless, like they were just born with it. But that effortlessness, it's just masking what thousands of invisible hours spent on the boring fundamentals.
That's it. And that's the psychological insight, right? The most powerful growth, the real development. It doesn't happen under the spotlight. It happens when you're alone, practicing, doing the right thing purely for the sake of doing it. Integrity.
The boring fundamentals.
Yeah, and they are boring, often. And difficult because there's no immediate reward. Choosing kindness when someone's rude to you and you're tired. Sticking with learning something complex and, frankly, unglamorous when your motivation is just gone. That's the real work.
That's the bit I find hardest, though. We're just so geared towards quick, visible results. How do you keep plugging away at those boring fundamentals, like, say, consistently having the tough, respectful conversation instead of just avoiding it, when the payoff might be ages away or maybe totally invisible to anyone else?
Well, the essay makes this critical distinction. You have to focus on inputs, not outcomes.
Inputs, not outcomes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Most of us, we fixate on the outcomes, which, let's face it, are often outside our control. Will I get the promotion? Will people like this project? Will this plan work out?
Right. Uncontrollable.
But people who navigate things with that kind of calm effectiveness, they shift their focus entirely. They concentrate on the inputs they can control, how I treat people, the quality of practice I put in today, taking that pause before reacting. Those are controllable.
Huh. So it's like you gain a sense of control by admitting you don't control the final result. You trust the process instead.
You trust the process.
Yeah.
You put in the work, the repetitive, often unglamorous inputs, and you trust that those boring, consistent efforts compound into extraordinary results over time. Maybe predictable isn't the right word, but significant results.
Even if you can't see the graph ticking up every single day. It's like building compound interest, but in your character.
Exactly right. And once you start building that solid foundation, it actually helps you navigate life's complexities better.
Which brings us to the next point in the essay, the limits of pure logic. Ah, yes. We're trained to analyze everything, break it down logically. But the essay points out, sometimes your gut just knows something your rational mind hasn't caught up to yet.
We've all been there, haven't we? That job that looks perfect on paper, the title, the money, everything aligns, but deep down something just feels off.
Or the relationship everyone else thinks is great for you, but it leaves you feeling vaguely uneasy and you can't quite explain why.
And we often just push that feeling down, right?
Yes.
Because it's not logical. There's no spreadsheet for it.
Yeah, no clear data points.
But logic is limited. It only works with information we're consciously aware of and can articulate. Our subconscious, though, the essay suggests it's like this massive parallel processor. It's constantly picking up on thousands of tiny signals, Microexpressions, vocal tones, little inconsistencies in behavior, emotional undercurrents. Stuff your conscious mind completely misses.
So that uneasy feeling isn't just random emotion. It's potentially your subconscious saying, hold on, the data stream here is compromised. It's a warning signal.
That's a great way to put it, a data stream warning.
Yeah.
So when we see people who seem genuinely wise, it's not just that they're smarter in a traditional sense. They've likely learned to actually value and listen to that, quiet voice inside.
Before the noise drowns it out, the noise of what everyone else expects, or even your own logical arguments against it.
Exactly. That ability to listen becomes like an internal compass.
Hmm.
And in a world just drowning in information, often conflicting information, having that compass is it's essential for navigation.
Okay, that makes sense. And this internal strength, this compass, it must be crucial when dealing with conflict, too. Because a conflict is unavoidable.
It really is. And our default reaction, our sort of evolutionary setting when provoked, someone cuts you off in traffic, a colleague steals credit, a friend is thoughtless, is usually to match their energy.
Right. Fight fire with fire. Be rude back, raise your voice, try to one-up them. It feels satisfying for a second.
Instant gratification, yeah. But the essay argues it almost never gets you the result you actually want. Not for your long-term goals or your own integrity anyway.
So, if matching energy is the default, the instinct, what does the essay say strength looks like in that moment? Is it just about suppressing your feelings? Because sometimes staying silent can feel kind of passive.
No, it's framed as grace,
Mm-hmm.
and it's anything but passive. It comes directly from that internal security we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
When you've done the work, when you know who you are and what you stand for, that solid internal foundation means someone else's bad behavior doesn't have the power to knock you off balance.
Okay.
Grace is the active choice, the conscious decision to respond based on your principles, rather than just reacting automatically from that primal fight-or-flight mode.
So if someone's deliberately trying to push your buttons, the most powerful response might not be shouting back.
Often, no. The strongest response might be to remain completely calm. Address the situation, sure, but directly and without letting your emotional temperature match theirs. It also means consciously choosing your battles.
Right. Not every provocation needs a full response.
Sometimes, the most powerful move, the biggest display of internal control, is simply walking away, disengaging. It signals that their low-level emotional state just isn't relevant to where you're headed.
Okay, let's shift slightly. How do we actually build the capacity to handle all this, the complexity, the conflict, listening to intuition? The essay uses another interesting analogy here, the mind as a computer.
Ah, yes.
Some people seem like they just have upgraded hardware. They handle complex problems easily, seem to process information faster, spot patterns others miss. What's the secret sauce there? Is it just innate?
The essay argues it's not innate, it's about intentional input. Most people are passive information consumers. We scroll, we watch whatever the algorithm serves up, we kind of just absorb.
Guilty as charged sometimes.
Yeah, it's easy to do. But those people with the apparently upgraded capacity, they actively curate their mental environment. They seek out challenging ideas, different perspectives, high-quality sources. They see this friction as necessary for growth.
Friction. I like that. But intentional input sounds good. But it's hard in practice, right? It's way easier to binge something simple than grapple with a book that challenges your core beliefs. What kind of specific friction are we talking about? Does the essay give examples?
It's less about just reading hard books and more about actively embracing cognitive dissonance. The friction is that feeling of discomfort when you realize you might be wrong, or the confusion when two ideas you value seem to contradict each other.
Okay, so it's about leaning into the discomfort.
Exactly. People who upgrade their mental hardware aren't just passively getting smarter. They've trained themselves to almost enjoy the feeling of a belief system getting stress tested because they know that's where the real learning happens, where new neural pathways form.
Can you give a concrete example of deliberately creating that friction?
Sure. Maybe someone deliberately spends, say, 20 minutes a day reading the strongest, most well-reasoned arguments against their own political views. Not to be converted necessarily, but just to understand the structure of the opposing argument, to see if their own logic holds up.
Or having respectful conversations with people you fundamentally disagree with. Not to win, but just to understand their perspective deeply.
Precisely. That conscious choice to expose yourself to complexity, to ambiguity, to things that make you uncertain, that is the mental workout. That's how you build the muscle.
And this active practice, it builds more than just knowledge. It builds cognitive resilience, right?
Mm.
The ability to hold multiple, maybe even competing ideas in your head at the same time without freaking out.
Yes. And the ultimate outcome, the thing people observe, isn't just being knowledgeable. It's wisdom, which the essay suggests is the ability to apply knowledge effectively in messy, real-world situations, those situations that never quite follow the textbook.
You become someone who can see the big picture, the forest, but also still pay attention to the crucial details, the trees.
That's a good way to put it. Seeing the whole system in its parts.
So if we pull all these threads together, the unseen foundational work, trusting your gut, handling conflict with grace, seeking out that intentional mental friction, you start to see how they all connect and reinforce each other, don't you? It's like a feedback loop.
It absolutely is. When you stop constantly seeking external validation, you free up enormous mental energy. Energy you can then use for that deep practice, that intentional input.
And when you learn to trust your intuition, you rely less on needing everyone else's opinion, which builds more internal confidence.
Right. And handling conflict with grace builds confidence in your ability to navigate tough social dynamics without losing yourself. It all cycles back and strengthens the core.
And that's where the quiet confidence comes from. It's quiet because it doesn't need to shout or seek applause. It's just this deep internal knowing that you can handle things because you've consistently done the hard, unseen work.
You've built the foundation brick by boring brick. You trust yourself because you have the evidence of your own consistent effort.
And other people pick up on that, even if they can't name it. The essay mentions they might describe it as being, calm under pressure or wise beyond their years.
Or just someone who seems to have it together.
Yeah, that external perception is just the visible tip of the iceberg, the result of all that hidden, consistent internal work.
Exactly. The manifestation of the inner strength.
So the path forward isn't about reaching some final destination of enlightenment or whatever. The essay really stresses this is a lifetime practice.
It is. Every day presents choices. Opportunities to choose a conscious response over an automatic reaction. To choose growth, which is often uncomfortable, over staying comfortable.
It means those small, consistent choices matter hugely. Pausing for just a few seconds before reacting emotionally, giving that gut feeling a little more weight, even if logic screams otherwise. Choosing the slightly harder path of self-improvement when the easy shortcut is right there.
And when you build that strong internal foundation, the external world starts to look different. Challenges become less like threats to your ego or your sense of self and more like, opportunities. Opportunities to practice, to learn, to develop even further.
So wrapping up, in a world that's constantly pulling our attention outward, demanding we perform, react, seek validation, the essay argues the truly radical act, the most peaceful and powerful thing we can do, is turn inward. Build that strength that no one can touch.
And maybe the question for you, the listener, is this. If internal strength truly transforms external challenges from threats into opportunities, what's one small unseen input? Maybe one boring fundamental effort that you could start applying consistently starting today to consciously upgrade your own foundational capacity, to train your mind for the ambiguity and complexity of the real world. That choice made over and over is really where the whole journey begins.